Hello everyone, this is Bourg Productions here with a video about budgeting called Budgeting 101. Why am I making a video about budgeting? Because many people that work and earn a paycheck kind of make mistakes along the way. What kind of mistakes? Spending money right away on things that are not necessary. Electronics, tickets, whatever. You can call this video a generalization of how people handle their money. Considering the hard times America is facing, it would be wise for this man who had financial problems and made mistakes to teach those how not to fall into the same trap I fell. I didn't have anyone encouraging me to budget my money early in life, otherwise I would be a modest financial success. Being a financial success has a huge catch-22 and it requires a lot of sacrifice to make it. If you aren't willing to suffer just to save money in the beginning, you will be a financial failure or become a leech just like Sailor Moon Red 1 or Chris Chan. Or what about the middle-aged people that leech off their own children? They are the worst. So yes, you gotta be strong and learn how to say no when people want something. Sure, you may not be friends with those that are dependent financially in the end, but you'll have a lot more self-respect. Here we go. Let's take a look at the word budget. Budget, noun. An estimate of income and expenditure for a set period of time. The purpose of budget is not only to balance what you have to pay for immediately, but what you can eventually spend later on. If you want to have money to spend, you gotta save first. Yes, folks, I understand that saving money is a real pain in the neck because there are so many things you want in life, but cannot have. It's part of taking responsibility because if you don't pay your bills and other expenses because you bought something of desire, then that is when financial difficulties begin. If your parents didn't teach you how to budget your money right from the get-go, it's not your fault that you are bad with money. It's the parents' fault. So you want to save money to have things in life, retire, etc. Pay attention because this will save your life. For anyone that lives in a home with their parents, toxic or non-toxic, and don't pay rent, bills, but have a part-time job, this is important. Let's say you come home with a $100 paycheck after taxes weekly. The two things you must have in this kind of budget are PYF and grocery. What is PYF? Pay yourself first. Why should you pay yourself first? Because it's a guideline to truly saving money. You gotta have this in order to avoid going broke in the long run. Without this guideline, you will go broke and have nothing in the event of an emergency or won't have anything to retire with 50 years down the road. In the case of a weekly $100 paycheck, I suggest you save $40 in PYF and $20 in groceries. Some people may wait until they save $80 to $100 in groceries for themselves. Some people may wait until they save $200 before buying groceries. Then, if there is miscellaneous, you can either spend that money on what you want or just save it and let the miscellaneous build. What about a weekly $200 paycheck after taxes? I suggest you save $60 in PYF and $40 in groceries. Anything left over in miscellaneous, it's up to you. Budgeting comes easy that way. However, if you do drive and make a $200 paycheck weekly, then you gotta consider transportation in the budget. Unlike PYF and groceries, transportation is of course a variable part of budgeting rather than fixed. And that's one of those things you have to be careful in regards to. Of course with a car, you'll have a lot less in miscellaneous and will have to consider lowering your PYF part of the budget. Of course auto insurance is another factor in the budget. Now for those that live on their own and make paychecks bi-monthly, let's say you got paid $1,200 a week and got a paycheck for about $2,100 after taxes. Before you can get to the PYF, you gotta consider rent if you live in an apartment or trailer, or mortgage if you live in a house. Rent can always go up in America because of the ever-rising cost of bills and the services from the superintendent of the apartments. Rent can range from $600 to $1,000 a month on average, not counting government housing. So if you made $4,000 from 2 bi-monthly paychecks after taxes, $600 to $1,000 goes toward rent for the month. Then there is transportation, which is variable. Gas prices are unpredictable, so you need to watch the prices at the pump closely day by day. Then of course auto insurance can probably cost you $30 to $150 a month, depending on what insurance you have. So after that accordingly, you'll have perhaps less than $2,500 left. Then you gotta consider the water bill averaging $50 to $100 a month. Alright, so that leaves $2,400 left. Then you have the electric bill, which varies depending on whether and how much of it you use. The average electric bill in America in the cold months is $150 to $300 a month. In the summer months, the average electric bill is $200 to $400 a month. This actually depends on two things. is your air conditioner window unit or central air? If it's central air, is the central air conditioner gas-powered or electric-powered? So during the winter and summer months, you might wind up with $2,000 left. If you grocery shop monthly, how much do you spend? A single person can fill their fridge with $150 worth of groceries each month. So if you are single and have no roommate, you could put aside $100 to $150 a month for groceries just because it's you. Alright, so that would be $1,850 left. But if you have a family to support, you probably have to put aside $400 a month for groceries, meaning that would leave you with $1,600 left. What about paying yourself first? Even though this is the most important part of budgeting, sometimes you have to consider it last until you know how much your bills will be. $4,000 paycheck after taxes, I would suggest putting aside $400 bi-monthly, meaning you save yourself $800 a month without touching it unless it's a rainy day. Think about it. The savings add up if you save $800 a month for 12 months. That would mean you paid yourself $9,600 out of the gross pay you get from your job of $57,600 a year. If you save enough miscellaneous to pay your income tax of $7,596.25, that means you did a very good job saving your money for the year. If you have a pay raise from your job, do not stop pinching pennies and keep saving. If you multiplied $40 times 4 weeks, that's $160 you saved for yourself. If you let the savings add up, you save $1,920 a year for yourself. That's progress even though you got a long way to go in terms of saving unless you find ways to be thrifty to survive. The catch-22 of budgeting is to take care of your needs first. Don't worry about your wants until the next several weeks after you get paid. That means you'll be suffering, but everyone has to suffer when they have a job to begin with. That's life. My case, after I got my first paycheck, I realized I was going to suffer and go broke immediately after budgeting. Miscellaneous can go towards several things. Whether you folks work a job that either pays weekly or bi-monthly, you will have to suffer. But if you don't depend on people and survive the suffering that waiting and budgeting can bring to you, then I bet you that if you have enough common sense to budget properly, your life will get better. Not better right off the bat, but it will slowly get better. My suggestion is endure the suffering of the first 4 paychecks regardless if the checks are bi-monthly or weekly. Why? The first 4 paychecks are supposed to emphasize on starting over savings, putting aside for groceries, and immediately making sure you don't fall behind on your bills. Don't spend like the middle-aged liberals did, which caused a lot of toxic moms to leech off their kids as they are starting out in the real world. Prove to those toxic spenders that even in hard times, you're willing to suffer to survive and eventually succeed. If you want the good life, you gotta suffer first. I know I'm repeating myself, but I want to get the point across that success does not come easy. You gotta have common sense and avoid the people that are considered toxic. Bums, toxic parents, toxic relatives. There ain't much we can do about welfare abusers, food stamp abusers, and anything else that is a fraudulent service to America. But we can say no to bums and people that are dependent on their families for survival. If you can save yourself $1,000 and pay yourself first regardless of what job you have, then you'll have a good chance of surviving and eventually retire about 40 to 50 years from now. So for the people that live in poverty, don't take financial risks, save conservatively. If you paid yourself first and saved $1,920 a year for 40 years, that's $76,800, not counting if you get a better job with better pay. $76,800 is not pretty bad. If you can make other forms of income, then the savings are even higher. If the poor saved $1,920 a year for 50 years, that would be $96,000. Not bad. So for the poor people watching, don't take a financial risk, be fiscally conservative. As for those that saved $9,600 a year for 40 years, you saved $384,000, not counting pay raises. If you choose to work for 50 years, $9,600 times 50 years equals $480,000 that you saved for yourself. Well done. This is not about saving up and being rich. This is about making sure you never go broke whether you are poor or not. If you are thrifty enough to live on your lifetime savings, but somehow make supplemental income in other ways, you'll have it made even after you retire. Fiscal conservatism, common sense, and morals will guarantee that you'll never go broke. So for the children and young adults watching this presentation, take this into consideration. Kids, the moment you get your first job, save, save, save. Do not go crazy during your first 4 paychecks because they are the most difficult paychecks. If you pinch every penny you have before graduating high school, you'll be off to a good start in the adult world. Young adults, Be careful with your first 4 paychecks and ride out the storm of suffering. You'll be better people for it. Anyway, this is Bourg Productions with a lesson on Budgeting 101. Thank you and good day.